Geocachomaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to the Geo Gearheads episode 471. I'm Daryl W4, back again with Chris of the Northwest.
Daryl, how are you doing this week?
It's been a week. Not as many Mondays this week as I had last week, though, so that's a good thing.
That's really weird because pretty much I'm sure there's one Monday every week.
Well, yes, if you look at the calendar, but if you look at the way that the actual events are unfolding, I had a week of Mondays last week. I think I had one Friday in the middle of the week.
Okay. You had a Friday in the middle of the week.
Yeah, I think my Friday was on a Wednesday.
Daryl, you're not looking at the right calendar.
Well, see, I'm not looking at the calendar.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the emotion of the day.
Yeah, that's all too much for me.
We've all had those, right?
Haven't we, though? Yes, I think we all have.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm glad you only have one Monday this week. And now we're at Thursday, which is like, Friday Eve. You're almost done.
I know it gets you so excited, but today really felt more like a Wednesday. Which means that tomorrow is probably going to be a Monday for me.
The Pizza Ninja says, a case of the Mondays sounds like a good cash name.
It does.
Or a good cash name, right? I'm a case of the Mondays. Nice to meet you. I have a case of the Mondays.
Meanwhile, GSM Times 2 says that I'm looking at the Chinese calendar. I need to turn it 90 degrees clockwise.
It's easy for you to say.
Apparently not.
Hey, you know what we're here to talk about tonight?
I actually do, because I'm looking at the show notes.
Okay. Well,
and I assume that most
a lot
of
of
people
surprise out of it for you, listening. But what about everybody else who doesn't see the show
title?
Yeah. Oh, we're going to talk again about Where I Go, and we brought in.
It.
Oh, we're going to bring in our Where I Go expert. That's MC3 Cats. Now, MC3 Cats, not only are you a Where I Go expert, you have another hat you wear. You're kind of wearing it tonight.
Yes, the WSTA official hat here. So not only do I like to do the Wherigos, but I am also the current president of the WSGA, which is the Washington State Geocaching Association. Which, of course, if you're not familiar with us, what we do is we promote geocaching activities in the state of Washington, which would include things like events and CETOs. We also are the hosts of the Mega Ape event that we've done for a number of years now, with the exception of last year, but we won't get into that as to the why, but I think it's pretty obvious. So yes, I do wear, as they say, many hats.
Nice. Now, Daryl, starting off this show, we've got some email from Curious KDB.
We do. And Kelly asked, hi, Chris and Daryl. I believe you mentioned a GSAC macro for loading lab caches into a file so that you can load them into Cachely. But I can't find where I can find the macro. I reached out to Tim thinking he knew where it was, but he said that Chris got an email. And, well, we did get an email, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we got an email long ago that pointed us in the direction of that GSAC macro, and then you found it a couple of weeks later.
Right.
And we talked about it last week.
Yeah. So the GSAC macro name is Import Adventure Labs. And in fact, I went and found it prior to the show just to help you out. And I'm going to paste that into the chat here. So there you go. There's the exact path. If you want to go find
in the show notes as well for anyone who wants to find them afterward.
Yep. So there you can go find the exact path to download that macro, but it's Import Adventure Labs. And I've used it. Works great. Now, Daryl, I found another site. I saw it briefly flash by one of my feeds, and it took me a long time to go find this again. This one is a German site. It is it all you have to do is tell it your location and what kilometer radius you want, and it will go get the labs for you and download a GPX file. So you don't even have to load GSAC. Now, I've had some issues with it trying to get the location right. Okay, so it defaults to, it's a German site, so it defaults to somewhere in Germany and keeps grabbing that by, every time it starts up. But I have gotten it to work, and that is gcutils, utils.de/lab2gpx.
See, I like this a lot more because it's something that conceivably I could run from my phone and just open it right into Cachly.
Bingo. And it works exactly like that. So you go to the page. It's not the quickest. And in the week that I've been using it, it has changed dramatically. So there's work being done to it. So, use it at your own risk, buyer beware, or,
And all this could just be fixed if they wanted to give us an API access to them, or incorporate it in another app.
Right, exactly. So this allows phone users to do it. It's going to allow Mac users, or, if you're just not familiar enough with GSAC, this is an option.
Yeah, I'm definitely have to check that out, but I'm not going to do that now because we want to talk about Wherigos, which I actually did one this weekend because, we got the new app. I had to try it out. So I did the world's easiest Wherigo, I think was the actual name of it, which was in fact pretty much what it is. It was.
Did you find it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You
was going to be
embarrassing. This one spot. We actually did a video on it. I felt really guilty about trying to do a video on it because it was so easy. But it was literally go to this one spot, pick yes from 3 selectors or something like that, and okay, lift up the skirt.
In the app, you had to lift up the skirt?
No, in real life.
Well, I don't know if that's any better now.
No, probably not. But that was what it was.
Going back to the macro for GSAC, GSM times 2 says there's an export lab caches.gsk. That's similar. So whichever one works for you, as long as you can get a GPX file out of your lab caches. I was really impressed with the GSAC macro. It was really nice to have it in Cachly. As you're driving around, you can, oh wait, there's a stop here. Let me grab this if you can, right? Oh, it will only pull in the ones that are non-sequential. It'll only pull in the first one of the sequential ones because it can't see past that.
That makes sense.
That wall. So anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, so back to your wig out. Or where I go.
Well, the thing that we did run into when we did this, well, it looks almost exactly like the original app. The widgets are even the old widgets from iOS 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but how much of that is maybe the Lua programming language?
It could be. I don't believe that that's in Lua. I think the selectors are still part of the host program, the emulator. But yeah, I don't know where this stuff came from, but it could be in one of these libraries that they picked. The issue that we ran into was for neither one of us did the completion code work, and you can't upload the completed cartridge, so you have to go by the completed code. So it didn't work for either one of us. We tried typing in the name, doing the code that way, and none of it worked. So it for whatever reason, it could be something with this cartridge. But what I'm thinking is there's some glitch in the translation from I think Lua is actually 16-bit. But wherever there's a translation in the code to get up to the 64-bit, I think there's a math error. That's my
Okay,
guess.
MC3 Cats. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
How important is it to upload that completion code? Because I don't think I ever do it.
I know I don't. I mean, as long as you get through it and it plays and you can complete it, I think that's the most important thing is if you can get to the prize at the end of the Wherigo. I think the only time that could be more of an issue is if you want to go back for whatever reason and, maybe there's something in there, some information, so if maybe there's a little hint that the cartridge builder may slip in there and you want to go, oh, gee, I remember seeing something about maybe it's where the cache is hidden. There's a hint that's built in there somewhere, then maybe that would be important to have that code to be able to go back in so you don't have to restart and play the whole thing all over again, which would be pretty annoying, if you had to do that, especially if it's like a 2-hour cartridge and you've already done it once.
Yeah.
So yeah,
true.
I could see where that's important. Usually what I try to do is if you're going to do the hints and stuff, put it at the end and, you let the cacher or the player know, okay, you will have I will give you hints, and I always do it as on the cache page in particular, because you have, have that area where you could put the hint, and I just say it's in the cartridge. So you got to play the cartridge, and then you play it to the end, and then I'm going to give you some hints as to where where the prize is hidden.
Sure. Yeah. The only thing that I really care about for the completion code is that now you have that map that shows which Wherigos you have and have not done. So that's how the Wherigo site keeps track of which ones you found to mark them as found. Because it is very cool having that map in the app, so that now I can pull it up and just go and find them, just like I would do with geocaches.
Yep, that'd be a good reason for it.
Kathy says that she puts the completion codes in the personal note for the cache, but never got back and entered it into Wherigo.
But that's another good idea is record it somewhere in the notes. And I do love that function, and I'm pretty sure Cachly has it on there where you can put your notes for that individual cache and it's there for all, for eternity. That's a handy little item, and I do use that, and that'd be a great place to put the code. Save yourself some time.
Yeah, so it's got me interested in building a Wherigo again. And like we mentioned last week, part of my hesitation was that this iOS app was, hitting its natural end of life. And we didn't have something to replace it. So now we've got something to replace it. So it's going to end up being around for a little while longer.
Well, I know I was building a new cartridge on the Wherigo platform for actually a request that came from a nearby state park. And they wanted some holiday themed caches, and so I thought, well, this would be a great idea to do a Wherigo with this. I mean, if they want a holiday themed one, I can come up with that. So I spent a lot of time programming it, writing the cartridge using the Wherigo platform, and then when I went out to test it, on site, I couldn't even get past stage 1 because the doggone app the old Wherigo app for the iPhone it was just freaking out. It was just, the location was all wrong, even though I had the right place. I mean, I was way outside the zone. It was bringing up starting the cartridge where it shouldn't, and it was showing me stuff that it shouldn't be showing at the beginning of the cartridge. It was a mess. And I'm like, so I ended up redoing it over on the Kit platform. And it was fine, but obviously, if the old app was failing, and it was pretty obvious, so the Wherigo cartridges just wouldn't play on it as what it looked like was happening. So I ended up doing it twice.
Such fun. Limax says that he's been itching to learn Wherigo. Here we go. Blah.
Here we go. It's the
Well,
earwig.
I think what I've used it a couple of times now, and it's I was able to find a PDF sort of walkthrough for that platform, and I've printed it off and laminated the thing and turned it into a book, and use it often enough now where I can refer back to it. But it's really, you have to get yourself into a programmer mindset when you do it, because there's a lot more stuff that you have to do as the programmer for this. It's not just dropping a map pin and adjusting coordinates and putting verbiage in and artwork and calling it done. No, you have to do up dialogues for each character. You have to actually make the character in the cartridge. It's pretty involved. And one of these days I'll come on here and kind of do a little bit of a walkthrough with it, so you can kind of see how it is. I think tonight we're going to look at the kit again, just so that people can see how easy that is, and anybody can do this. And that's really where I was trying to go with Wherigo III tonight, is to let people see how simple. And then once you really get a feel for it and you've done a few of these, then you can see what it looks like over on Wherigo, where you're doing everything. There's no backstage programming on on Wherigo like there is on Wherigo Kit.
Yeah,
So
Pizza Ninja says that he's been building one with the Wherigo kit from Ranger Fox, and it has been awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. So the Wherigo kit is really simple. Am I right?
Yeah, Ranger Fox has done a lot of the backstage programming for you. So it's almost like what you see is what you get sort of set up for Wherigo cartridges. I don't want to say it's completely error proof, but a lot of that risk is taken out of it. And again, it's how he's programmed that website. When you go in there and you create one, a lot of that backstage programming is done for you. You don't even see it. So it makes it very simple. It's like point and click kind of cartridge building, which is great. It's a good learner site to build your cartridges on. But with the ease of it comes some simple cartridges. So you're not going to be able to do this immersed storyline with multiple characters and a lot of interactive dialogue. You're not going to have that on the kit. That's something that you definitely will have over on the Wherigo platform, because you can do all that kind of stuff. But kit, again, very simple. It's meant to get people into Wherigo cartridge building, and you will gain your confidence and feel really good about it. And then when you're ready to step into some more real programming, then you can jump into Wherigo. And I would highly recommend, if you're at that point, that would be the one you'd want to do and try out.
Makes sense. So we have GSM ×2 that wants to know, have you used, it's going to be difficult pronouncing all of these and trying to get something different. So it's Wherigo. Wherigo
and Wherigo.
Yeah. So the Wherigo. What do you think of that? Have you used it?
I have played around with it just very little, and I just didn't like it. It just seemed like it was even more into programming than the Wherigo. And then there's the HQ's version, which is just off the charts. I mean, it was built by programmers. It's definitely the programmers platform for building. And I would highly recommend not doing that one for that very reason, especially if you're you're interested and you want to try it out. I would stay away from those two and look at the kit first. Get a feel, you just want to get a feel for how it works because you're building zones and you want to play around that and get used to it and just get the mindset of building the cartridge, and Kit is great for that. Do a bunch of them. I mean, I think I've done, I don't know, 10 or 15. I've lost track of how many I've built on the Kit, but basically get used to it first. And then when you feel confident and you're ready to take on something much more involved, then definitely check out the Wherigo one, because that one is kind of entry level programming is kind of how I see that one for cartridges.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely the best one to get started with.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is bring up a cartridge that I started building actually today, and I haven't fully thought. I don't have the cache zone picked out. I mean, I have some ideas, but it hasn't. I haven't even gone out there technically. I mean, I've been to this location a number of times, but I haven't scoped out the locations personally. But I'm familiar with the park, so that the location is not completely foreign to me. So whenever I start up or get an idea for a cache or a Wherigo cache and have a location in mind, there's a little bit of a upfront work that I do on it, which means obviously visiting the site and definitely bringing my GPS and I'm grabbing coordinates. I do not, and in Kit, you will see when I show you, it will pull coordinates for you based on where you drop the map pin. I do not trust those. It's using, I think it uses Google Maps. And I have found that the coordinates aren't always right. They're off. So I tend to trust my Garmin GPS map 64X over whatever Google Maps has. That might just be, me personally, but I just feel that they're better because I took the time, stood there, made sure the coordinates dialed in pretty good, so I take some time with grabbing them for each of the different zones that I'm going to have in the cartridge. So it will take hours for me if I'm doing 8 or 10 zone. It's going to take time, just the investigation part of it, the front end piece, before I even sit down at the computer. So I do all that stuff first. In my mind, I'm mapping out how I want the cartridge to play out, because then there's that side of it. Sure, you can go out and grab coordinates, but then you got to go, okay, how do I want to sequence the different zones? And obviously you don't want to make people backtrack, because that's kind of annoying. Nobody likes that. So what I do is I really logically think out the path of the cartridge and how I want the zones laid out. Which one's going to be first? What's going to be next? And so on, and try to map it out, so it makes sense. And then it's just, once I get to that point and I've got all the the coordinates all down, everything ready to go, then it's just a matter of sitting down and sitting at the computer and bringing up the website and start dropping the pins and going for it. So that's sort of my mindset on every one that I do, is I just pre-planning, and then visiting the site, which is part of pre-planning, and then mapping it out in my mind, and then boom, sit down and physically map it out on the Kit website, which is what I'm ready to show right now. If you can share my screen, I will show you.
Go ahead and click that share screen, and we'll bring that up as soon as you're ready.
Oh, I guess I have it. Okay.
Yep.
Here it all. Let me. Okay. Share. All right. Hopefully everybody can see the Wherigo Kit page here. So this is, when you come to the website, when you go to Wherigo Kit, this is what you see. This is the actual website itself. Um, actually, I think I'm on the home page here. So this is what you see. I'm logged in, as you can see here. So it just uses your here. I'll just log out real quick so you can see what it. Okay, maybe it doesn't want me to log out. Okay, fine. So you log in with your regular credentials, basically your geocaching.com credentials. That's what you use. It syncs up. I think it uses that live sync. So click on. Okay. Oh, now it's playing. Okay. So let me log in. So this is the login screen. You log in with Geo Live. Yes, I agree. Okay. So here's my list of the cartridges I've done on the kit so far. This top one here is the one I'm going to show folks, called the Trees of Stone Wherigo. So we'll go ahead and click on that. So this is sort of the menu you see when you already have one saved. So all of these, of course, are saved. So if you're just going to do a new one, you would just click on Create over here, and then you have the two available kits. Mostly I use question and answer. Lights Out is a little bit different, where you may have multiple zones, mini zones within the major zones. So you have to clear each of them before you can move forward. Question and answer is easily the most often used one, and that's usually what I use or build them on. Okay, so we'll go into so we're going to view and edit here. So let me zoom out a little bit here because this thing is majorly zoomed in. Okay, so here we go. I can zoom pretty far out. So this is, if you don't know, this is the Ginkgo Petrified Forest State Park over near Vantage. If you can tell by the landscape, this is not Western Washington. The color would give that away real quick. So this is on the western edge of the park. This is the Vantage Highway here. Just see if you want to know where this is Interstate 90 down here. This is the Columbia River / Wanapum Lake. This is the town of Vantage here. So this is kind of a little bit west of everything. So this obviously is the parking area, and you can see the trails up in here. So this is an interpretive trail system that's here. And if you look real carefully, you can actually see the boxes that have the different petrified wood in them. So obviously I've not gone out there and actually taken the coordinates. So I just made the zones based on the map. But I highly suggest you do not do that, that you go to the location and actually get coordinates. So this is the start, which usually will be, and in fact, it has to be the coordinates for your Wherigo. It has to be at the start. So don't put it somewhere else because the HQ won't. That's one of the requirements for doing a Wherigo. Your listed coordinates have to be at the start. Doesn't have to be obviously where the cache is, but it just has to be at the start of the Wherigo. So I just name it start, start of the Wherigo. You can change any of this. If you see where the little pen or pencil is here, these items are changeable. So they're the coordinates there. This is the proximity. So what this means is there's a 10 meter proximity. So if you're within that 10 meter box, the cartridge will trigger, it'll start. Or if, so when you step into that zone, it'll just, with you're within 10 meters, it kicks on and it starts. This is our little character here, the little artwork I use. So here's the actual narrative. So this is what you would see when you stepped into that box. So here's the narrative. You fill all this in. So this little guy's name is Ranger Nick. He's going to be your tour guide as you navigate through the Wherigo. So I threw some kind of fun stuff in here about Washington State's official gemstone is petrified wood. Surprise. How about that? I didn't know that. So anyway, just give a little introduction. I mean, you can put in whatever you want. So that's kind of what this is. And then over down here where it says create new. So this is where you can add the dialogue, or that's what the little bubble is, the little text bubble, the little thought bubble, whatever you want to call it. That's for doing narratives. And then you can have a question, which is what this is. And when you do questions, you have two different formats. Obviously, you would put, whatever the question is here. And then you can do either multiple choice, where you have 3 potential responses, or you can make it open-ended, and they have to put in an exact phrase or word if you want.
And which one do you prefer?
Well, I like multiple choice, and I'll tell you why. Because if a sign happens to change at a location, or if the item that you're basing the stop or the waypoint on changes, you can allow someone to sort of brute force the question to get through get past that stop. So you figure they got a 1 in 3 chance of getting it right. And if they don't, well, they just get to try again until they get the right answer. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier than doing open-ended, because then, the spelling's got to be dead on, or you won't get it right. So I tend to like the multiple choice just because.
Is capitalization a concern as well?
It would be over on open-ended.
Open-ended, yeah.
Whereas here, so what happens is when you're in the player and you get the question pops up, then you'll get the question and the answer will appear, and you just have to pick which one is the correct answer, and then you have you have the congratulatory message here, and then you can have, and these images here, you could put artwork for each one of these. So you could put a
question for the correct answer and for an incorrect answer.
Yeah, you can put a big old happy face here, or a big saddie face here if they got it incorrect. So you could really kind of have fun with that, and I try to have a little fun with that one. And then this thing, I never use it, but you can stop the emulator. I'm not even sure why you would really want to do that, because again, with this simple platform, you can't do timers where the person has a minute to answer the question, or alarm goes off and they got to start over. I mean, those are much more involved where it goes that you just cannot do on this particular platform. It's just, again, it's basic. It's meant for basic cartridges. So going back to the thing here, so basically he says, okay, let's proceed, head on up the hill. So I like to kind of give people, especially when they're starting out, give them an anticipation of where they're going. And that is true even for the next stop that's up here. So if you zoom in, you can see there's a trail that goes up here. And then again, I can zoom in more. You can see the little boxes there. There's displays of the different types of petrified wood that are out on this trail. So you head on up the hill, and here's first stop. There's old Ranger Nick again with his big old cheesy grin. And so I always like to do a little narrative first. Hey, you made it up the hill. Congratulations. Hope you're not too winded. And then, kind of set the stage as to what they're going to expect at this stop. So here I'm telling him, okay, at this stop, we have our first example of some petrified wood. Take a look at the wood and the sign and answer the following question. So that's the first thing you're going to see on this at this stop is the narrative. Okay. So you're setting an expectation with the player. They know what they're getting into. Okay, there's going to be a question next. So then the question box will pop up, and it'll say, okay, what type of petrified wood is on display at this location? So here's a example of, here's my artwork. Here's the multiple choice questions. I got, you got one correct answer and two incorrect. And obviously the little blue dot here is obviously the correct answer, which is maple, and that is true at this stop. This actually is an example of a petrified maple tree, or what's left of it. Then here's the message: "Hey, congratulations are outstanding, good job." And then here's the blue satty face. Please try again. So that is an example right there of a question and answer and responses to both correct answers and incorrect answers.
Okay.
And then to sort of wrap up this particular stop, and I do this with everyone. So when you're done, when you're almost done with the zone, our tour guide or the MC or whatever, will pop up and say, "Okay, you're now ready to head to our next stop." And so what I like to do, especially like where this is, if I can move these around here. Actually, let me get rid of this and get rid of this. If you can see where this is at, there's an intersection of the trails here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just as a fail-safe, I like to let the cacher know, okay, you're going to be heading this direction. So I kind of set it up, facing the display, you're going to be going to the left. So that they know, okay, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go. And this, by the way, is uphill. It's uphill. This trail is uphill this way and uphill that way. So I don't.
Uphill both ways.
In this case, it is. The only thing missing is the snow. But they do get that out there. Right. So we're telling him, okay, you're going to go this way. This is the direction you're going, to the left. So this little box right here, now I'm going to actually make a zone here. So how to make a zone. And you have to, when you have the, you've already scoped out the spot, you already grabbed the coordinates, you still have to get the zone to show up. And the way you do it is you right click in the general area that you want it. And then you get this little box here and gives you the coordinates. And you just say, okay, I want to create a zone here. So this box pops up. And again, there's the coordinates. Now, again, this is not going to be the right coordinates. You're going to have to go in here, click this, and then adjust it. Generally, I mean, the most of this is going to be right. You're just going to be dinking with the seconds primarily. You're going to be adjusting those because it's going to be close, but I like to try to be as accurate as I possibly can with these.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you would change it. Whoops. I like how that happened. All right. This is where you would change it. You can name it here. So I'm going to call this stop 2. Then I would put, so here's the media box. So I haven't really talked about that. So this is where I put the pictures that I'm going to use in the cartridge. And it's very easy to do. You can just hit upload new if you don't have any. If you haven't put any in yet, so at the beginning you come to this area and you just hit upload new, and then you can pull a file in here. So here's old Ranger Nick. So we're gonna select him, and there he is. He's this big cheesy grin. He's ready to go. So here's where the actions are. So see, I have nothing. There's nothing here. It's blank. I have these options here, but there's nothing listed like there was back over here. So we're going to do a dialog box, and we're going to put old Ranger Nick in here, and we're going to say, fantastic. You have reached the second stop. Type answer the following question. Now, you can do more than one question.
Really?
Yes. That first stop just had one. So you can, and I've doubled up questions before on stop. So you can basically do the little question mark, I always have to put the stuff in here first, just so it's done, and put the Sadie face in there. And then you can put whatever, obviously, down here. So your question, I mean, I could continue with the theme and say, what thing out of the way.
What petrified wood is on display at this location?
Yeah. And if I remember right, the answer for this is spruce. I'm going off of memory. But you can put, whatever you want in here, red cedar, hemlock, whatever. So spruce is the actual correct answer for this particular spot here.
And then you're going to tell them which direction they should go next, so that they're not confused walking the wrong way.
Right. So I'll put that in there.
And if they don't get it right, you give them infinite chances, right? There's no option that after a few guesses it takes longer for the question to pop up, or any
right. There's no timers. There's unlimited chances to get it right. Again, you've got 3 shots at it. I mean, process of elimination, you're not going to need. You're not going to need
more than 3.
No, I mean, unless you forget which one you do one twice. I mean,
I really think this is the answer. I'm going to keep pushing it until it tells me I'm right.
Maybe, you might get the congratulations. You brute forced it. Good for you. So if I wanted to do another question, then I would click down here, and I could add another one on here. I mean, could just redo the process all over again if I wanted to.
Is there a limit to the number of questions you can have?
No, but keep in mind, you're trying to move people through, the adventure, because that's essentially what Wherigo is. It's an adventure, just like Adventure Lab. This is very similar. It walks a very similar line. So, and when I do the cache page for this Wherigo, I'm going to tell them up front, hey, this is what you can expect. I'm going to tell them for this one, I'm going to say, you want to wear good shoes, because part of this is paved, part of it's not. So you're going to be going uphill. This is, scrublands, sort of the desert side of Washington. So if you're out here in the summer, you're going to expect 100-degree plus heat. Bring water. So I'll set the stage for that and let people know, hey, look, don't come out here with flip-flops and think, this is going to be a cakewalk, because it's not. And on top of that, there's rattlesnakes out here, and scorpions. So, probably wearing open-toed shoes like sandals, probably not a good idea. So I'll set the stage for that and let them know up front, okay, when you go and do this cartridge, you're going to want to wear, good shoes, bring water, be prepared, because this is Eastern Washington, and it's not the wet green side of the state that a lot of us are used to. It's the dry, arid side. And it's obviously, it gets very windy over there too. So that would be another thing.
Well, this is the same information you coached me on Adventure Labs. When you read the description, when you look at an Adventure Lab for the first time, you said, let them know what they're getting into, right? Is it going to be a 15-minute, or is it going to be a 3-hour? Right? Are we driving between points, or is this a walking tour? How far is it?
Exactly. All of that stuff you want to tell them, and another good thing would be to let them know just how much of a walk this is. Yeah, not only is it going to be uphill, but this trail, and I'll zoom out here. Let me get rid of that. This trail goes all the way up, and you can see all these little boxes out here. So this loops all the way around. I mean, you could, I think there's like 25 miles of trails or something that go in this area. So and I would not I would not do a Wherigo that would require to do the whole entire trail system in this park, because I'd probably have death threats if I did that. So
good Batman.
so I would kind of try to limit it to how much of the trails you're on. And obviously with this one, I think that the cache would probably, because my idea was to take them up around, make the cartridge loop around here, so you go back here. So you're going to start down here, do the big loop, and end up back here. So this is likely going to be probably a 2.5 terrain easily, because again, it's a sand gravel that you're walking on. It's uphill. The conditions can be, depending on the time of year, could be kind of rough. So so maybe 2.5, maybe 3, possibly. Wow. Just again to set expectations for folks. So if this is a 1 mile, I think this trail system here, I believe it's 3 or 4 miles. I don't remember the number on it, but anyway, I would say, okay, this is X number of miles. I think it's probably going to be at least a mile.
So would you break that up into multiple Wherigos?
I mean, if I wanted to really do this whole trail system, I could, and I probably actually would. I don't know if there's any up in here. This looks like a. I'm not sure if there's any up in this upper level up here, but yeah, I mean, you could make it 2 shorter ones, but of course that means you got 2 caches. You're going to have to try to find a place to.
You do have to associate a physical cache with these.
So there's that, and I can tell you, along this road here, this is the Vantage Highway. There is a power trail that runs kind of along here. So locations might be at a premium. I will not be placing the cache actually in the state park. I might bring the other map up here so you can kind of see, so you get a little idea of the trail system here with the satellite image off. So this is a pretty good trail system here. And the green area obviously is the boundaries for the Ginkgo Petrified Forest State Park. So I haven't reached out to the parks. I seriously doubt that they're would like us to be putting caches in a petrified forest. They probably would frown upon any location that I would want to put one. Certainly if it's on this trail system, I'm sure they're not going to be gung-ho about. I might, be able to get away with putting one in the parking lot here.
What if you put it in a wooden box so it wouldn't hurt the environment?
I love that idea. And actually, that would be kind of cool to do that, where it looks like it's part of the trail system, and put a piece of basalt rock or something in there, and people will go, "Oh, that doesn't look like petrified wood." No, it's basalt.
We have a couple of questions from GSM times 2.
Go for it.
First one, he says, I used a different builder and wrong answers would require them to go back to the previous question, not location.
Oh,
can the kit do that?
No, I have not seen any functionality that would punish the wrong answers.
Okay.
That's cruel.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the other one. MC3 Cats, if you had access to unlimited adventure labs and do these Q&A tours, would you use Wherigo or Adventure Labs?
Well, so the difference between the Wherigo versus the Adventure Lab is, of course, each stop in a lab is an Adventure Lab is a fine. It counts as a fine. So if you have a credit of 10 stops, that's 10 hides, that's 10 smileys.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. And in this particular location, I would definitely, this is a fantastic location for a lab adventure. And am I thinking, if you're doing labs, you kind of want to do them in a place where you can't put a cache. So this is sort of like a, the virtual caches of old, except adventures are better because you have multiple virtuals instead of just one. So you could do a themed adventure lab. So this location here would be fantastic. In fact, over here, and I'll put it back on the satellite view. Over here is the main part. This is the visitor center here. There's all kinds of examples of petrified, various types of petrified wood right in this parking lot here. This would be an absolutely fantastic location for an adventure lab. And I was talking to another cacher about, gee, this would be a great place. You should put your credit and do it here. so you know, there's no reason why you couldn't do a Wherigo and an adventure in the same place. You could, as you can see, there's enough these display these petrified wood displays where you could do
not quite a kiosk.
You could have fun with that. So I probably lean more to the adventure lab just because you get more bang for the buck. However, what I do like about Wherigo that it'd be kind of tough. I mean, I think you could kind of get close on an adventure, but it wouldn't be quite the same as if you really wanted to go into immerse the cacher in a storyline where you have multiple characters, for instance, and you want to tell a story. If you want to do like a wizards fantasy medieval kind of a adventure, it's kind of hard to do that in using the adventure labs. That's where the Wherigo is gonna shine, because you can do character development. You can turn it into a Dungeons and Dragons thing if you wanted to. If you were into that as a kid, you could do a Dungeons and Dragons Wherigo, and do the the maze and use the Wherigo cartridge for that. And that's kind of hard to do over on a with an adventure credit. It wouldn't quite be the experience would be different. And keep in mind, when you're doing the adventure labs and you're building them, your text narrative is limited. HQ really has that kind of clamped down to, I forget how many characters, maybe 1,020, something like that.
Oh, I think it's 1,024. I think you're right.
Something like that. So you really can't develop a big storyline and character development and have these amazing text dialogues and all that. It just would not work with an adventure. But with a Wherigo, sky's kind of the limit. You can have as many zones as you want. You can have as many characters. We hadn't even talked about items, which
no.
this.
Well, let's jump. Let's not leave characters yet, because your MC3 cats GSM times 2 wants to know, can Kit do the adventure with characters like you just mentioned?
Yeah, the kit, again, because it's so basic. There's really, other than what I showed you with this little guy here, this ranger. I mean, you can do that, but you can't really. I mean, I did at the beginning of the Wherigo down here. We kind of did a little intro with him where he's he's talking about who he is and talks a little bit about the location. So that just touches on it just a tiny bit. But the Wherigo, you can really develop characters and have bios and that kind of stuff. But the kit is it's simple. It's just as I've showed you. This is it. It's zones. It's question and answer. You can have some dialogue, but it's going to be minimal. So you can have a stop. And in this particular one, I mean, you could have you could set up a stop here where, let's see, let's just make another one here. Let's say, like right here, create a zone here. We can have the ranger say something like,
howdy kids, welcome to Wally World.
Yeah, you could
Wally World
just
is closed
say
right now. Oh. Sorry.
That's perfect. So you could say, hey, there's a bench here. Here, rest your feet. So you could do something along those lines where hey, how about having a seat? Here's a great place. Here's a great place to take a load off. And then you could just add that in there. There's no interaction per se. I mean, you could throw a question in there if you really wanted to, but
on that bench.
Yeah. You could do that, sure. But that's kind of the extent of it, really. I mean, you can use it to display, warnings. So like, let's say part of the trail's washed out here. You can let the cacher know, okay, hey, there's a hazard up ahead, be on the lookout. There's loose rock, whatever. So you can kind of do that. So you don't necessarily have to have questions in here. You could just do text. So it's kind of the same, but it's not necessarily very interactive. Where over on the Wherigo platform, you can have an interaction. You can have large dialogues and inputs where you as the player has to respond to the character that posed a question. So the character may say, hey, I'm Gandalf the Great. What is your name, Explorer? And then you would have to put an answer in. So those kinds of things you can do over in Wherigo. You can have Gandalf give him a magic sword. Here you go, player, here's a magic sword.
I think I've seen this movie.
You think you've seen that movie? or whatever the subject matter is, but you can have a character in Wherigo give the player or cacher an item that goes into their bag, and it's an item that maybe you use further on in the cartridge.
Right.
So Wherigo has all of those. That functionality is embedded in that platform, whereas Kit, it's kind of like a virtual multi-cache in a lot of ways.
Right.
But to get the final coordinates, which I kind of like this because on a multi-cache, you're not always sure if you got the right answer, and you got the information off of various signs, and you go to where you think the cache is, and you find out you did a mathematical error somewhere. But with this, you can't get past these stages unless you put the correct answer in. In the case of this one, I mean, you have to get this question right before you can see the next stop. Ranger Nick is going to be a real stickler, and he's not going to let you get past this, this question before stop 3 shows up. And then, the one up here, whatever this is, this will be zone, and so on. So, stop 3, etc. So anyway, I'm not going to save that one. Well, I guess I did. So, you can, it's guaranteed that you have to get the right answer before you can go to the next stop. And that's what's nice about Wherigos is, you can't proceed until you clear out each zone.
Exactly.
And we're multi-cache, you're kind of on your own. There's no tour guide. There's no one there unless someone gives you a checksum, or if you have a geo checker that's built into it, then some cache owners will do that, which is nice. So anyway, so basically to save it, you just hit save up here, which I'll go ahead and do, and then it'll say, hey, congratulations, it saved perfectly. So you see over on this side, you see your stops. First stop, stop 2, stop 3. This is the start, which is number 1. You can edit the listing. So this, I didn't show this page. This is the cartridge detail. So when you first do one, you create one, this is the first thing you're going to see is this. So this is where you give the Wherigo the name. You can add your art that will show up on the Wherigo.com website. You have cartridge type. These are your options. I usually just use geocache because that's what it is. Obviously, it was created by whatever name you want to put in here. You can put whatever. And then I put a little description, and this description actually gets populated over to the Wherigo.com website. when you upload the cartridge, I put a little starting location description. I don't think you necessarily have to, but I just put that in there just so people, if they're not sure they're in the right place, this kind of helps. So that's what that is. So then what I'll do, I'm going to jump out of it here, out of this, and then go back over to the cartridge listing, and then click on here. So here, this is like the main menu for this particular cartridge. So here's where you can test it. There's an emulator that that's built in here that you can test it. Well, we can fool around with that real quick. So we'll take a look. It always drops in Paris. I don't know why.
Why wouldn't it?
I don't know. Paris is for lovers. I don't know. Anyway, so this will give you an idea of what the cartridge will look like in the player. Okay, so this is just emulates how the player app is going to run your cartridge. So there's the introduction that you just saw. I just showed you. So you would hit play. And look at that. It's airing out. That's interesting. I wonder why it's doing that. Apparently not. So I don't know what happened there. That's weird. The other way, I don't always go. I mean, I use the emulator primarily just to get a feel for how it's going to look and catch like spelling errors and all those other fun things and correct them. But ultimately, you will want to go out and actually test it on site.
Right.
And to do that, you have to get this off the website and download the cartridge. And as you can see where it says download the cartridge, you got a couple of options here. The GWC format is the format that the phone apps, and if you're one of the old schoolers and you're still using a Garmin organ, good luck to you, number one. Number two, the GWC format will allow you to download that into your phone app, your Wherigo phone app, and allow you to test it.
Okay.
The GWZ format, so you would use that if you're ready to upload that to the Wherigo.com website where people can find it and download it. So you don't want to obviously do that yet. You want to test it out first, fix any issues that you see when you're playing it. If the chords are a little sloppy, you can update all that. And so once you're there, then all you do is you just click on this, and then it, as you can see, it just dropped it down here in the corner. And then
downloads it.
Yeah, so it goes into my download folder, and I could just what I do is, since it's not formally published anywhere, since I'm just as a test mode, what I'll do is I'll email that to myself, and then I will pull it off of the email on my phone and take that attachment and drop it into my Wherigo player.
Can Dropbox work as well?
You could do Dropbox too. There's a couple of ways to skin this one, but yeah, you can do it that way as well. Wherever you can drop your attachment, however you want to do that. And then just get it into your player app, and you can go and test it out, find the kinks, get the bugs worked out, and then, come back and make changes you need to change, and then it's, when you're happy with it and everything looks good, and it seemed to play okay without issues, and you go in and hit the GWZ, and then so it'll, as you can see, it's now in the GWZ format, and then all you do is you go to the Wherigo.com. Oops. See, I've been to Wherigo. So here's the Wherigo.com. If you're not familiar with this website, this is where all the cartridges are published and for all to find. You can see my Kwanzaa adventure, which is the last one I did. It's sitting there, though the cache isn't published yet. But anyway, there's the adventure. So you could find. So this is where you go, and you can. I'll just click on this. So this is what it looks like here as the owner. You can make changes to it if you you can edit details, which is what you'll do when you upload it. Mm-hmm. You know, you see all this information in here. There's the listed coordinates for where it starts. You can change the settings here if you want to turn on logging, if you want to make it available in the directory. Is it active? Is it inactive? You do all that here. So that's and then there is a place here where you can upload to, which I didn't show, but it's on that same place here. If you want to upload, here you go, upload a cartridge. So you just click on that, choose the file, and it's telling you make sure it's a GWZ file. So don't put a GWC or GWCat file because it won't work. It has to be a GWZ file. And that's it. Just the main thing is once you go in there and you upload it, make sure you tick it as active, because if you don't, it's not, people aren't going to see it. So if you forget to do that and your cache publishes and people are trying to download the cartridge and it's not going to show up, you're going to have some angry people, especially those FTF hounds that we're all geared and ready to go to Advantage, and only to find that they can't get the cartridge because it doesn't exist.
And if, say, one of those waypoints are closed permanently, you can change the cartridge, re-upload it.
Yes. So if you have to, if you have to go in and say, okay, I want to delete, let's say I want to delete this one because the bench got removed. You just click on here and there's that little red minus thing here, delete the zone. Are you sure you want to do that? Yep. He's gone. So now the one up here was number 5. It's now number 4. Okay. And then you would hit save. And then next time you go back.
The same process. Yep.
Yeah, you go back and do the same process. And then, what happens is when you upload it to Wherigo.com, it will automatically change the cartridge name to, say, 1.5 or 1.2. And you can also, should bring that back up. You can also make notes on Wherigo, on your Wherigo site, on your account here, and you could say, okay, this is now version. So when you upload it, so you would do it right here. Version. Yeah, you could say this is. So you could let people. What I do is I'll date it and say, okay, Wherigo was updated on this date because I had to change whatever, so that somebody has an old version and they go and try to play the app. And then, what another good thing you do is you could also go over to the cache page, do a little maintenance note or make a note on there that says, I've the cartridge has been changed. It's been upgraded to, 2.0 or whatever it is, whatever the name is. And just that will let people know that, I've got the older version of this cartridge. So, maybe you've downloaded and just hadn't gotten out to do to play the cartridge. You can let the future players know that, hey, it's been changed. So if you have version 1.0, then you need to delete that and download 2.0. And you can do that all right here. So I like to do that again because I hate to see somebody go all the way out there and they're playing an old version of my cartridge.
Oops.
Yeah, because that can tick people off, especially considering where this is. It's pretty far out in the middle of nowhere. So, you don't want to drive all the way out there and then I get nasty grams sent to me.
Well, let me know. I'll go out there with you. We'll test it and I can get FTF on it.
There you go. So that's the Wherigo kit. I mean, it's somewhat error proof. I mean, I won't say everything is not error proof, but that pretty much is.
Hey, we proved it wasn't error proof in the demo.
Yeah, except for the emulator, which is definitely freaking out for whatever reason. I've never seen it do that, so I don't know what's going on there. But maybe that's a Ranger Fox question. I don't know. But anyway, we can talk about Wherigo another day, but that's a pretty robust, involved. I mean, you could spend hours just on that one. But there's so much more you can do on that platform than Kit. So if you've been itching to try your first Wherigo, if you've got an idea of one, or even if you've got an idea for a multi, but you don't want to do a multi because some people don't like multis, right. Try it as a Wherigo instead, because it actually, in my opinion anyway, I think it's better than a multi. I mean, I've done multis. I'm not going to knock them. I've done some horrible ones and I've done some really good ones. But the nice thing about a Wherigo is, you're going to the right location, because once you complete the cartridge, you're going to know where the cache is. A lot of times the cartridge is going to take you there. Right. Or give you the coordinates, or however the owner has put the cartridge together. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, we got to wrap this one up because it's been well over an hour for the kit. But I am excited to try to get something put together. And the only thing that I've got in my brain right now for where I go is something that people probably aren't going to want to try.
You never know. You never know, Daryl. Somebody,
there's a cache at the end. They're going to try it, and then they'll yell at me for it. Well,
I mean, again, I guess you set folks up. Let them know what they're getting into, both on the write up on the cache page itself. Obviously, over on the Wherigo side, same thing. Just kind of let them know. And hey, if they choose to go out on that Wherigo adventure, heck, let them do it. I mean, it's not like it held them at gunpoint and said you got to play it.
Some people think that that's the way it works, since there's a smiley there that they haven't claimed.
It's a new cat. I mean, there's maybe some people out there that have never gotten a Wherigo. So see, you might put some smiles on some folks' face. I hope, not just on their profile page, or their account page.
There you go.
Just do it.
I'm uses. Just do it, Daryl.
It has nothing to do with footwear.
And Gia sometimes too has done. He's put out a couple of Wherigos himself, so he knows.
Yeah.
Just make sure they're not opinion-based questions and answers that are open-ended, right? You start to see those on Adventure Labs of, how do you think, what do you think this color is? Well, everybody sees that a little different.
And that may work better with an Earth cache, because you're asking somebody to give you observations of that particular area. Okay, that works better in that scenario. But you're right, for an adventure, and even in Wherigo, you really want to have very pointed questions. It's not give me your philosophy on this or that or the other. It's no. Here's the question. There's only one answer. I'm going to give you 3 choices. You get to pick the right one, and it should be pretty obvious. You shouldn't have to, mull it over for hours on end, because that's not what this is about, So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, and I'm definitely looking forward to giving it a shot.
I may have to make a trip out to you just to do it. Road trip.
So I guess now I have to get it done so that you have something to do when you come out here.
Come out there and visit.
Because you don't want to visit the family the whole time.
Oh God, no. No. If I'm going to come out there, I'm going to, first of all, I've not even found a cache in your state, so I'm definitely going to want to come out there just for that alone. But there's
no pressure, Daryl.
No pressure. Yeah.
No pressure.
Take your time. That's also when you're building these things, it's not a rush. Take your time.
Make sure that what you have is a good experience that you'd want people to undertake.
Yeah, good subject matter. I mean, the petrified forest is there's an Earth cache out there that could be done very easily. But a Wherigo, I think, appeals to more people. There's some people that don't want to deal with the geology that goes with Earth cache, but with a Wherigo that might appeal to more folks. So why not? So anyway, good subject matter, good location. Think it out. I think you'll do fine, Daryl.
Yeah, I hope to. I still have to find the spot for the actual container, though. That's my biggest challenge in this area.
Yeah, that's going to be your big challenge probably for everything with the Wherigo is okay. You've mapped out all those. You've mapped out your cartridge. You know everything is now. It's where's the final going to be, and if you can somehow theme the final to the subject matter, that will get you favorite points. And in my mind, I've got a great idea for the cache. I just need the location for it. So, and just as a little hint, near the entrance to that park, there is a rock shop with a bunch of dinosaurs out front of the building. So maybe I have to pay a visit to that nifty little rock shop there.
Early rock like Rush?
Yeah, Rush.
Okay, with that, we better end the show.
We should, because it's not going to get any better. This could be an all-nighter.
It could be. Thank you, MC3 Cats.
You're welcome.
Hey, folks, check the Cacheamaniacs website at cacheamaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cacheamaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cacheamaniac shows coming. Would you consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cacheamaniac shows? Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2021 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.